TTLIF, thank the Lord, it's Friday. And Leets, what's up? Y'all know what time it is, classic tabletop RPG time. That means we're gonna get into that post-apocalyptic science fantasy beast, Gamma World 3rd edition, part 2 in our series on combat. Now, you're new to the channel, just stumbled upon what's going on here, I wanna welcome you. This is RPG Elite. This, folks, is the place where we put the RP back into RPG, and we do that by giving you tools, tips, tutorials, and real talk about the tabletop RPG culture and community. And we do this for you so that you can have a more immersive and enjoyable tabletop RPG experience. We're gonna slide right into our combat video today, showing you the deep mechanics of how 3rd edition Gamma World combat works. And we've got another video next week, but I'll tell you about that on the other side. So there's 3 videos to this. I'll tell you what we'll cover in the next video at the end. So make sure you stay until the end. But right now, let's slide in and see what's going to happen to Mirabaldo and Zealand and Oki, because last time Mirabaldo and Zealand, well, they were getting skewered by spines, by 10-foot beetles. It wasn't looking so good. Will they survive? I don't know. I'm lying. I do know. Let's see what happens. Catch you later.
There are several different actions a character can perform in a round, which are the same as 2nd edition. So if you haven't watched that video, a link will be down in the description below. Here is the thumbnail. Go ahead and watch that video. You can do that after you get done watching this one. If there's no surprise, everyone declares their actions, including the GM's NPCs. Now, it's a good idea to let the NPCs declare first. You want to attempt to give the PCs any small advantage you can, and this is a subtle way to do that. Okay, so here we are, and it's now time to declare actions. So parn number 1 over here, it's going to move half of his movement, or its movement, and it might be he, who knows, it might be a she, who knows. Movement is 53, and I had to actually, multiply the meters that it can move by 3.28, and actually it ended up being 53 feet that it can move a turn. So he's going to move half of his movement here. Yep, because he's trying to get to Zealand. So he's going to move half of his movement to Zealand, and then he is going to attack twice, because they can do that. If you go over to the bio, they can attack twice with their antennae, and they do more damage. So he's moving in for the kill to get his bone marrow, because they like some bone marrow. This parn is going to move half of its movement. Not quite going to make that full movement, though, to get to Mirabaldo, which is what it's trying to get to. So it's going to move half its movement and throw 2 more spines at him. Now Mirabaldo, now he knows what's going on, because he's like, oh shoot, that hurt. So he's going to turn around, move half of his movement, and also attack with his crossbow. Zealand, on the other hand, is going to move half of his movement and attack with his radiation eyes. Kind of cool. And then Oki is going to move half of his movement, and he can move further than anyone else because he's unburdened. So he has longer movement. So he's going to move half of his movement, which is not going to be any problem whatsoever. And he's going to move to the closest parn to smack it upside the head with his tree branches. Now, the reason why he's going to do that is because, number 1, he's kind of strong. So he's going to get a +1 modifier to his damage. And number 2, he's got brawling. So his rank of 7, and you use your rank when attacking, and I gave everybody arbitrarily a rank of 7 just for the purposes of this demonstration. I gave him a rank of 7, and so it doubles, when we look at the effect, doubles attack rank when fighting unarmed. And he definitely fighting unarmed. So he's going to smack it upside of the head here. So that's going to end the declaration phase of this round. Initiative is the same as in previous Gamma World editions. You can either roll individually for each character on each side, or you can roll for each side as a group, adding the highest dexterity modifier to a 1d6 die roll. Now, Gamma World 3rd edition leans towards the group initiative option. Now, the side who wins initiative has the option of choosing who will go first in each phase of the round, their side or the defending side. Now, if they wait, they can change their action in response to their opponents in the different phases. This is actually the only way to change actions after they have been declared. So if your team is hurting, it's better to let the other side go first so your team can react if they win initiative. If you want to press the attack, then resolving your attacks first is a better move. All right, so we have 5 different characters in this scene. So I could go with the option of just doing everybody's individual initiative, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to err on the side of the core game, which they kind of lean towards a group initiative. So that is what we are going to do. So let's go ahead and choose this parn over here, and let's look at the dexterity, see if there's any modifiers. Doesn't look like there's going to be. So they're going to roll, and Zealand's going to roll since she rolled for surprise. And again, there's not going to be any dexterity modifiers. We could just look at it again because they both have 11s on both sides, no modifiers. So let's go ahead and roll for the parn side first. Okay, they get a 3. And we're going to have Zealand rolled for the PC side. Oh man. It's just not looking good for these guys, is it? Okay, so that is it. And it looks like the parns have won initiative. Whoever wins initiative or is allowed to move first can now get into position. If they won initiative, they can move their entire movement allotment if movement is all they want to do for that round. They can move up to half their movement and still perform another action. They can also hold their movement until a more advantageous moment. During this time, characters who are moving may perform the dodge action against unarmed and melee attacks, not ranged, instead of performing another action. Against multiple attacks, it will give the attackers a -2 column shift to hit, and that's it. On a single attack, the attacker makes their attack. If they get a colored result, the defender then makes a dexterity check. If the result is equal to or greater than the colored result of the attacker, the attack misses. If there's multiple attacks and the PC wants to just focus on one attacker, then the single attack option is the one that they would use. So now we're coming to the movement phase of the round, and what we are going to do is, since the parns have initiative, they are going to take their full movement. They are not going to hold their action or anything, especially parn number 1 here, since it wants to get right up close to Zealand. So we're just gonna measure this out here. Okay, and this parn is going to have to move. Oops. This parn will have to move 26. I'm going to move him right about there. It doesn't quite make it, so that's why he's going to end up right there. So this is going to be all of the movement that's done in this phase of the round. Moving at the right moment can sometimes negate your opponent's action, or at least make it more difficult. If you move behind a boulder before your opponent makes a ranged attack, it will make almost all ranged attacks miss. The initiative party now resolves their mental attacks. They can choose to wait until the end of the round, or they can change their declared targets. After the initiative party decides their actions, the defending party resolves all of their mental actions, which concludes all conscious mental mutations. We don't have anyone in this round that will be using any kind of mental mutations or attacks. However, Zealand does have some mental mutations, and one is called Illusion Generation, and the other is called Mass Mind. He is just not going to choose to use those in this round, so we'll just move on to the next phase. Next are all the ranged and thrown weapon attacks of the initiative party. This includes ranged physical mutations. They can also choose to dodge or catch a thrown weapon. Now, to catch a thrown weapon, it first must be something that is able to be caught without harming the catcher, so there's no catching shurikens here. If the projectile qualifies, the catching character makes a dexterity check minus half of the attacker's physical strength, and you round that up. Catching a thrown object is not easy, and it should always be given a difficulty factor. Catching something that is lobbed at a character may be easier than catching something that is thrown hard, but it should never be automatic. Okay, we have a situation here, and what we have is only one of the NPCs is making a ranged attack right here, part number 2. Remember, this one is going to throw 2 spines over at Mirabaldo, so we're going to target him. And the hit dice on this one is 13, which is what we use on the ACT. However, remember, Mirabaldo now is using his shield, and that's going to be a -1. So we're going to be rolling on the 12 column for this parn. So let's see what happens. All right, well, the first attack is a 21, which is a miss. Let's go ahead with the second attack. And the second attack is a blue result, which means that it does 5 points of damage. However, remember, Mirabaldo has an armor class of 2, which absorbs 10 points of damage. So even though the spine hits, Mirabaldo pulls it out, throws it onto the ground. The initiative party now performs all their melee and unarmed attacks. This includes melee like physical mutations. They can also choose to dodge or parry an attack. A character can parry one unarmed or melee attack per round. Unless they can make 2 attacks, then they can parry 2. If attempting multiple parries, each has to be of at least rank 5. Parrying, like dodging, is considered a combat action. To parry an attack, the parrying character has a -1 column shift. Then they must make a rank check against the color result of the attacker. If they do, then they are successful in parrying the attack. So in this phase of the combat round, we're doing all melee and unarmed combat attacks. And we only have one. And it's big boy right here, parn number 1. Remember, he's doing his 2 antennae attacks against Zealand. And the way things are going, I don't know, man. I'm a little bit concerned for Zealand right now, but let's see what happens. So remember, he has hit dice of 13. Zealand doesn't have anything that would go against that, actually. Furs and skins. Oh, he does have a shield, so he would not roll on 13 but 12 as well, because Zealand does have a shield. So let's go ahead, get over here, go to column 12, and see what happens. Ooh, black result. Black result. Is that a zig when you should have zagged kind of deal? What would that mean in the grand scheme of things when it comes to an attack? could be a bad break. Could be a bad break. And so what I'm going to say in this instance is that instead of getting 2 attacks to attack Zealand, Zealand moves in such a way that it places him out of reach, and the Parn overcommits and can only make 1 attack. Aha! See, you can do a million different things if you can come off the top of the dome with it. Okay, so that would be all of the attacks for this round.
So in next week's video, what we're going to cover is obviously Mirabaldo, Zealand, and Oki and what they do. We're going to cover the other things that can happen in a combat round and what phase that it falls. And then we're just going to go straight through with no interruptions, a full combat round, so you guys can see how that whole thing flows. That's going to do it, folks. Quick, painless. It's the weekend. TTLIF, y'all. So for some of y'all, that means it's going to be some tabletop RPG sessions going. And if it is, happy gaming. I hope it's a fantastic tabletop RPG elite kind of session. Me? Oh, I got one too, y'all. Oh, this is my week. I'm going to be playing this. Not this. Hold on. It's this. That's what I'm going to be playing. We're going to be playing that. I'm looking forward to it and having a lot of fun. So until Tuesday, God willing, a brother is going to have to catch you on the flip and take a exit, stage left. Peace and hair grease.